to learning the lyrics. It's easy to remember the melody and where it's going to go.
Okay.
But it's what you're saying, it to me is the most challenging thing. So I always have to study it like it's lines, like it's a real paper.
Do you know, Faye, I'm thinking that as we get older, right, it gets more challenging to remember. Is that the case when you're studying music? Because sometimes the thing that you love, you don't have so much of an issue with.
Yeah.
Is that the same for you? Is it more difficult now?
No, I actually find it a little bit easier because
really?
once it's in, and I find it easier to learn something and retain it now because I guess I've done it so much.
So the practice.
Yeah, so the practice pays off. So, for example, as a teacher, right now I'm teaching 2 different song festivals. So I've got repertoire for 2 different festivals. One is year 2 to 3.
Oh.
So I know 6 and 7. And then the other one is year 5 to 7. So it's from just 8 and 9 to 11. So I have to learn, I think it's about 18 songs right now.
Wow, over what period of time?
Well, I've had about 5 weeks to do it. So yeah, so I had to learn them in order to teach them.
Because I've worked, they say don't work with children and animals, right? And I've worked with children for over 30 years. And I think the best part of the performance is when something just doesn't go how it's supposed to go. Like, you know, the child is singing and they go, your mum's over there, like bang in the middle of the song, or something happens, there's a push and a shove. What is it like working with that age group?
It's so much fun. I love working with my kiddies. I do actually love them. They're so sweet. And the thing with Munchkins is they will always be very honest with you. You always know where you stand with children.
Like no filter, right?
Exactly.
No filter.
And that's what I love about them. But also, it's the purity of the joy. Music brings that joy. And they absolutely love their music lessons, regardless of if it's just singing or if they're learning an instrument, if it's an untuned percussion, or if it's a melodic instrument, they absolutely love it. So, and they go all in, like 100%, they're committed to it, even if they don't want to learn it. I don't like this song. I don't want to play this instrument. But by the time, if you insist and you also join in, they will always follow your lead, and that's what's lovely.
So is it fair that you just teach that age group singing, or do you do teaching and singing?
I teach music and I teach singing as well, so I teach both.
Amazing, because you know the child that comes home, Mum, we're doing instruments at school, and can I play the recorder? You know that the recorder is coming home. And we know how it's going to sound.
Oh, yeah.
I remember being very proud of playing Hawaii Five-0. I don't know if you're old enough for that.
Yes.
The soundtrack for Hawaii Five-0 on my recorder.
Oh,
yeah, so I was very excited. I was very excited about that. And I also encourage my own children to play an instrument. So big shouts out to Kai, who played jazz and classical music via the keyboards. I just wish he had kept it up, but you know, you can't live with children, you can't live vicariously for your children. But I love the fact that that he did that. So guys, if you've just joined us, it is of course the Let's Talk Show live with the girl Blaze. My special guest today is Faye Simon. It's so wonderful to have her back in the studio. Today's show is entitled Let's Hit the Road, and that's exactly what Faye is doing today. Today's quote simply goes like this. Do something that your future self will be thankful for. Guys, if you're tuning in via the radio and you now want to connect with us on YouTube, just press the link that was shared to you. We are now live on YouTube, because sometimes that's how the thing is set. That's me using my best voice. That's how the thing's set, is what I want to say. It's one of those days, and it's a wonderful day, and I'm really excited. So Faye, my first guest, was born and raised in northwest London in a household where music was played constantly. She comes from a musical family and also works in schools. It's like years 2 and 3.
All of them, actually.
Oh,
yeah.
The whole range, the whole primary school.
I teach from reception all the way to year 13.
Amazing. And what's the difference? How does it? What are the changes that you notice as it goes up to year 13?
The commitment So with my secondary students, they pay for their lessons, and because they pay for their lessons and they sign up themselves, they're very dedicated to their music lessons, and I give them the opportunity to choose their repertoire as well. So they come in with the most amazing songs, but also something that challenges them. So it gives them something to work towards, and I help them to explore their own voices, where it's not about sounding like Adele because you're singing an Adele song. You have to sound,
your own.
Yeah, you've got to sound like you. What do you sound like as the vocalist singing this song that was written and sung by Adele? So it's about developing your own sound at that time. It's not just about learning something and enjoying it. We always want to enjoy the music that we sing and we partake in, but most importantly, it's about developing your own sound and your own style as an artist when you get to that age. What do you sound like? And what does your voice want to really say? As in, what style of music are you now going to find yourself in?
I love that. What does your voice actually want to say?
Yeah. So I get them to kind of open up and explore themselves, not just the music. What is it that you want to say? Because when you start writing your own music, that's what you're going to do. You're going to sit there and you'll be like, I want this song to reflect, for example, the summer, the sunshine. But what am I going to say? How am I going to say that? How am I going to express it? And then also, what is my voice going to sound like doing that? Am I going to change the timbre? Am I going to change the tone? What am I going to do to explore that newfound sound? So this is how I approach teaching with my secondary students. With my primary students, it's more about the enjoyment of it, and then also learning how
fun.
to but then also learning how to pitch. You still have to learn and be disciplined in your lesson. Yes, we want to have fun, but we also want to be musicians. So it is about directing them in that way so that they can pitch perfectly, they can stay in time, they know the difference between the beat and the rhythm, which is where we start because it's the hardest thing to differentiate initially. So there's so many different ways to start developing their musical skills and then their musical language as well. So this is how I approach my lessons from primary all the way up to secondary school and students.
Do you know what I love? I love when a child is clear about what they want to do. And they see that right through to adulthood. Because some people don't know what career, they don't know what they want to do, they don't even have a sense of kind of who they are until they're really quite far into adulthood. But you knew from a really early age, the fact that your Auntie Debbie noticed, and you know, you come from that kind of household, and you're still doing that now. I think that is brilliant.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You know, I think it's brilliant. You know, I have to say, no shame. I love the X Factors and The Voice and all of those competitions where I see people sing, and sometimes I see someone go on. They have the most phenomenal voice, but they have never done anything with it because someone has shut them down about their confidence. And then we see some really young children, like 10 and 8, like you're saying yourself, with some powerful Aretha Franklin voices at that age. So I want to ask you, was there ever a time when you lost your confidence as a younger person in terms of your singing? And if so, how did that impact you?
I didn't.
Oh, great.
I didn't lose my confidence.
I love that. That's good. A nice, confident person continuously. That's great, because often someone, you know, goes to a competition or they want to be signed by somebody, or they do a performance and it doesn't quite go right because there are audiences and audiences, right? So the fact that you've never experienced that, I think, is wonderful.
It's not that I didn't experience disappointment. I just didn't lose my confidence. So, for example, I auditioned for LIPA and I auditioned for the Brit School and I didn't get in. And to say I was disappointed is an understatement, but I had to talk myself through it. You don't necessarily have to go to the best schools to be the best. And that is literally what I kept telling myself.
I love that.
Does not matter. You don't have to go there just to show that you are good enough to be there. So I kept telling myself things like that. I had to be my own team, my own cheerleader. So I was championing for myself because it's what I wanted to do. And I know that nobody else is necessarily going to do that for you. You have to see it through and have to have the confidence to see that through. So with every disappointment and every setback, and there's been plenty, I have tried to navigate around them and continue to motivate myself because it's what I want to do. I know that I wouldn't be happy just sitting in an office.
Sure. Yeah.
I know that I wouldn't be, and I wouldn't necessarily be happy just being a teacher. And a lot of teachers, a lot of music teachers particularly, are working musicians.
Yeah.
They still go out, they still have their own performances. Their love for music is still so great.
Makes sense, yeah.
They are still musicians themselves. They don't just impart the knowledge. It's something that they do proactively. So it's still something that I've always wanted to do. That if people say, what do you want to be when you grow up? I'm still that, I'm still saying, I am that person. But I still want to do more and still be that great singer when I grow up. So.
Do you know, that response really deserves me getting up and running around the studio, but there's just too much wires, right? And today is already going away. So if I was to get up now and start running around, I don't know that I'd make it back safely. But I say that to say this, what a wonderful response. And I hope also that, you know, you are able to share that with all of your students from year 2 all the way up to year 13, because I don't know that we can avoid disappointment.
Yes.
I don't know that I can guarantee for my children or anybody that I work with, my students that just recently graduated, I say to them all the time, be prepared. And however prepared you are, something can still happen.
Exactly.
I also say, don't take yourself too seriously. Your show's not meant to be perfect. It's just meant to be a show and have a great time. And what you have said about being your own cheerleader, about saying, yes, you suffered, disappointment, but it didn't shatter your confidence, that you are still thriving to be a greater, because I believe you're already great. So you must mean greater, right? You're already great. So add the E, the R, make yourself greater, because you continue to grow and evolve.
Yes.
And I think, especially our children, we need to hear that, because you are a role model for all of our young, African children who aspire to be, and who are not going to get the same opportunities as their other classmates. Let's just talk the truth. This is a Let's Talk show. It's the real talk show. And that really is so powerful that you have that mindset. And that you're in a space where you can pass it on to the young people.
Yeah. Well, as a teacher, you have to be motivated in the classroom. If you don't bring energy and focus and motivation to what you're doing in the classroom, then you can't inspire the children or expect them to do the same. So when I do go in to teach, that's what I do. I will always demonstrate something. And it's interesting that you say, just have fun. No matter how prepared you are, something can still go wrong. I am the anti-tech queen. I don't know what it is about me and technology.
Oh, really?
But things always seem to go wrong with me and devices. And anytime I go into a classroom, I'll touch the computer and something will go wrong. But it happens all the time. So I'll always have to have the backup of the backup, or something else to do without the tech that will keep them focused and also keep them learning. So, and then be able to laugh at yourself. Plenty of times I've touched something, the screen's gone down, and it's just laughter in the classroom. And so you have to be able to laugh at yourself and also apologize. Say when you're wrong. Say sorry. Okay,
or name it.
Miss Simon did something wrong. That was my fault. I'm gonna do this time.
And don't pretend like it didn't happen.
Yes,
right?
Exactly. Can you tell me what I did wrong? And I will always say that to them to see if they were paying attention too. So
brilliant.
There's always something to learn from when you do something.
Wow. So guys, my special guest is Faye Simon. If you want to send her any questions, if you want to send her a big up, it's 07956 548 781. That's 07956 548781. She is phenomenal. She's her own cheerleader. But guys, if you're listening in today, send some well wishes and send some energy for this queen that is doing such a great job. And I just want to take this time to say thank you for the representation that you provide for our children that, you know, that need it. We need it, and we need you.
Pleasure
and so thank you. So you don't just perform here in the UK. You've performed in other places across Europe. Talk to us about some of the places.
So my last performance was in France, in Paris last year at l'Alimentation Générale, which was beautiful.
You said that so well. Do you speak French?
I don't. I've been practicing.
Okay.
I've been practicing. I've got my Duolingo app. So
it works.
All my French friends keep telling me they're not speaking English to me anymore. It's been too many years for me going to Paris.
Wow.
So I've been told that that's it. I have to get fluent. So I need to start practicing. And it was a lovely show, and it was really lovely because all the community that I have in Paris came out, which was wonderful. I haven't performed in Paris in a long time, so it was really nice. I got a nice turnout. When I was performing with Jest and with Yara Bravo particularly, we toured Europe. So we'd done a few places across Europe, from Prague to Bratislava to Berlin. We went to Switzerland as well a couple of times. So it was so lovely being an artist on the continent because unlike here, regardless of your status as an artist, you're an artist and they will treat you as such. It doesn't matter if they've never heard of you. It doesn't matter if you've got #1 in the charts.
I was going to ask you actually how
just
the different
treat you the same.
The different places, the audiences, how do they differ?
The audiences were really open, whereas in London, particularly, they always say when an artist comes back home, they don't get the same welcome. And that is exactly what I learned the hard way. I struggle to get audiences here or even to get a round of applause. Sometimes Londoners will just stand there and watch you, like, entertain me. We spent our money. Why am I here? Why are you here if you can't entertain me? It's that kind of attitude. But on the continent,
does that impact your performance? Because some people need the feedback. They need they need that energy.
And it very much can, because you then have to generate that energy. You have to start by hyping up the crowd, and then the crowd will give back to you. That's something I noticed, particularly in the UK. In Europe, they're already there for a great show. So their excitement is already there. They're there to encourage the artist because they've already invested their money and their time in being there for you.
That makes
so
sense.
I've kind of noticed the vibe is different from inception when you start your performances because of that attitude of the crowd. It doesn't mean that by the time Londoners or the UK crowd are warm, they don't get involved. They very much do. And they can be some of the best crowds. But are they a bit more difficult
to kind of warm up?
Yes, they are. They definitely are. It is about, okay, show me what you can do. As opposed to, okay, we're here. I know who's going to go on. And even if I don't know who's going to go on, I'm here for a good time. Whereas you have to kind of warm up the UK crowds yourself. Whereas in Europe, they're already warm and they're ready to go. That's something I noticed.
And I get that because as somebody who hosts lots of events, right? Sometimes I say, "Oh, good evening, everybody," and I'm like, "Oh, maybe I should have brought the paramedics." Is anybody?
Pin drop.
Has anybody even got a heartbeat in here? Because they just kind of look at you and then I go, "Oh, sorry, they didn't tell you this is a call and response. Should we do that again?" Because they just sit there and look at you,
or just blink at you.
It's just like, and some audiences are harder than others, and it just is what it is. Like you said, you're there, you got the mic, and they're expecting you to do what you got to do. But it always helps if you've got a really good interactive audience.
Definitely.
And like you said, their attitude around kind of like why they're there, and how they help you to enjoy your performance, because it then goes two ways. Faye, were you in a theatre production?
Yes, I was.
Yeah,
and I'm going to be again this year.
Oh,
yeah.
So what was that like doing theatre, compared to when you're just doing a singing,
Just performing.
Just doing a singing. I think I'll come back to year 2. Just doing a singing.
It was phenomenal because it's what I studied for my degree. I studied musical theatre, and it's what I always wanted to do. So I wanted to act and sing. These are things that were always on my to-do list. And it was amazing to be able to use my whole degree, because most people don't get to do that, just like most people don't get to be what they want to be when they grow up. So it kind of married into one another, which was great. And the wonderful thing about the show is the part was written for me, and I didn't know the part was written for me until I was in the show. And that's when the trumpeter told me, he was like, you know that Rob actually wrote this for you, this particular part for you. I was so stunned, and he confirmed it.
When you'd already started doing the production?
Yeah, we'd already started the production. So it was my idea to convert the novel into a stage show. And so Rob Johnson, who I work with as his backing vocalist, he's also a writer. So when I read it, I was like, this is so excellent and it's so funny. It should be staged. And so he just started getting to work. What I didn't realize was when he asked me to be in it, he'd already allocated this part to me. I didn't know that until I'd agreed. We'd done the rehearsals and he'd booked the first tour. And we were backstage getting ready for a show. And Sian turned to me and she said, you know that this was written for you? And I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, we read the book. Yeah. I was just like, we read the book. How could it possibly be written for me? She said, no. When he transposed it and transcripted it, he wrote it just for you, with you in mind. And I didn't believe her. So I went to him personally and he confirmed that he was like, yeah. It was like, this part is for you.
So how did that change? That must have had an impact. How did that change?
It really did.
Because you're about to go on stage now and you realise you're actually going on stage
I
as
know.
you.
I know. It was so bizarre.
And you're not actually a character.
Because I asked it, I was like, how do you want me to approach the character? Because it's period, it's set in the 40s. And I kept my accent. And I thought, okay, maybe I shouldn't have kept my accent. Maybe I should have maybe done like more of a Diana Dawes and made it a little bit more Cockney. Yeah. So I kept playing with the accent. And then he said to me, no, I want you to keep your voice, because this is how I see the character. And then I couldn't believe it. So that's how I found out the part was actually written for me. And it's a murder mystery. It's a Christmas murder mystery. And the part is the private detective, so I get the best part too.
Do you know, I saw some of the images and I thought, you know what, that really suits you. You could just go back and
period.
You really could. It really suited you, and it looks like it was great fun.
It was great fun.
Okay, so we've got a message. Let's see. We got a message for the fabulous Faye, and it's Charlene.
Woo, woo.
And she is having a great time. She's listening into the show.
Hello, Miss Braithwaite.
Yes, she's loving the conversation. And she's bigging up her sis every time.
Thank you.
And she says gratitude to me also. Thank you so much for joining us, Charlene. Guys, if you're listening for the first time, do send me a message on 07956 548 781. Special shouts going out to Alan Celia, who log on before I do. How did I forget to give you guys a shout out this morning? I kid you not, I come into the studio and I get this lovely message every Saturday. Aww. We are logged on. I'm not even logged on yet. So I love you guys much, and thank you for your continued support. And Charlene, thanks for joining us. So I think now we should probably go to one of your songs. I tell you, you have really, I feel like saying you've really grown up since our last interview. You have really grown, girl.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
It would be great if I grew in inches too.
You are, no, you're good as you are. You are my shiro for today, I gotta tell you. Right, so the track I'm gonna choose is Sunshine, is that okay?
Yeah.
I think it's appropriate for the weather.
Definitely.
So this is Faye Simons. This is one of your tracks from your new album, which we'll talk about after this. Guys, don't forget to stay tuned. Up next, we have got Robert coming to talk about being a civil engineer, author, and one of our newest radio presenters. So don't go away. Let's play Sunshine by Faye Simon.
Your community radio.
Wow, that jingle nearly blew my head off. But guys, you are tuned in to the Let's Talk Show live with the girl Blaze. It is, of course, the wonderful, wonderful Faye Simon as my first guest. Today's show is entitled Let's Hit the Road. And the quote is, do something that your future self will be thankful for. If you want to get involved in the show, then it simply is 07956 548 781. And if you're watching live on YouTube, then hey, and thank you for joining us. So, Faye, talk to us about Sunshine. I love it. And I find it quite unique. I was thinking, does she sound like Erykah Badu? Does she sound like anybody? But guess who you sound like?
Who?
You sound like you.
Yes.
Love
thank
it.
You.
So talk to us about Sunshine.
So it's from the new album called The Goddess Frequency, which will be launched next week, Sunday, at the Amersham Arms in New Cross. I'm so excited, but so nervous, but so excited.
Nerves is good though, because it kind of just adds a little bit of oomph to it, I think.
It does, definitely. When you use the nerves during your performance, I notice that it always makes it that much better. Everybody's going to get nervous, no matter what the show, but I noticed that the show is always that much better when I'm more nervous.
Yeah.
So.
I think we lost you a little bit for the first bit. So just say again one more time.
Sure.
Talk to us about Sunshine one more time, forgive me.
So it's a new track. It's the first track off the new album called The Goddess Frequency, and it will be launched next week, Sunday, the 7th of June at the Amersham Arms in New Cross.
I have got 2 events, Faye. I don't even know how I'm doing the 2. In fact, I've got 3 events. I don't even know how I'm doing all this, so I cannot. So I hope there's going to be a recording.
There's a recording happening,
and
yes.
I can see it, because that just sounds so amazing.
It's going to be so much fun.
So you're going to be singing all the tracks
All
on
the
the album?
tracks from the album.
And there's 8,
So
right?
there's 8 tracks on the album and then 8 dubs to match the tracks. And it's the first full reggae album I've ever recorded.
Ooh,
So I'm
nice.
very excited for everybody to hear it. And I just want as much feedback as possible so that I can see exactly, as you were saying, like how much I've grown and exactly how they will be received. Are they working? Do people actually like them? Which is the favorite track? So all of that market research has to come with people listening and people
So
giving
this
me
isn't
feedback.
your first release, though, is it? It's
No.
just the first album.
Yeah, this is the first reggae album. This is my third full album. So I'm really looking forward to it because it's the first one that will be kind of initiation into the reggae community.
Brilliant. you spoke about some of the greats in terms of reggae artists. Who have you
Yes.
performed with?
Oh, as in terms of with reggae artists.
Yeah.
Recently, I performed with New Flower and have been singing his backing vocals as well.
Okay.
So we're working together, and we're also going to be working on a specific project just for us. I've also featured with Tashai Makeda as well, Nubian Queens, and there were.
Did you also do Sandra Cross?
Yes,
Yeah.
and with Sandra Cross. Yes, I did, and JB Rose. So
Yeah.
I have performed with alongside all of them.
And
in the
JB
last
Rose has
couple of
also been a
years.
guest on the show.
Yes, she has.
I didn't actually meet her in person. We had to do an online interview via phone. And then I saw her at this gig and I thought, that's her. I'll go and say hi to her. But the gig ended in a bit of an unusual way, and so I didn't get to see her. But you've also performed with the British Soul Collective.
Yes, I have.
Ooh, I think I saw some of that on Lethan's.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I performed with them, and then I got to perform with them again as a backing vocalist for the Noel McCoy tribute.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't November Gone, the previous November.
So the late.
The late
Yeah.
Noel McCoy, yes.
And tell everybody who doesn't know the British Soul Collective who the others are.
They are the legendary Donny,
Yep.
Omar,
Yep.
and Junior Giscombe.
And I have had Junior Giscombe on my show
As well,
also.
yes. Oh, yeah, because I called in, didn't I?
That was like the best. You know, like I've idolized him and seen his work. I'm still working on getting all of them in, actually.
Yes.
But I have spent time with them as well. So I can see how you can sing with them easily. And
Thank
big
you.
shouts going out to Lethan also, who
Yes.
did that whole thing during lockdown.
It was
and
amazing.
Kind of had people singing live.
Yeah.
And I saw you there, and I really had singing envy. I was like, I should be there. I should be
You
there.
should have
That's
been.
somewhere. That should have been. So that's brilliant. And Hill Street.
Yes, so I did some backing vocals for Hill Street Soul as well last year. So it's been a wonderful journey being able to support some amazing British vocalists that I listen to. These are my idols, and I got to perform with them, and I got to meet them in person, and trust me, they did not disappoint.
Isn't that great? People that you idolize as a young person, you see them on television or you see them perform, or you've got their records. I mean, when you first started listening to the likes of Omar and Junior, did you imagine in your wildest dreams, and Donny, that you would just be one day singing alongside them?
I did, yeah.
Great. Because that's good manifestation, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I always wanted to do. So when I saw them on TV or saw them in shows, I'm like, yeah, that's going to be me. I'm going to be there. I'm going to do it.
Brilliant.
So it's what I always wanted to do. So all I've done is actualize what I really, really wanted to do. So it's been incredible for me.
I hear that you teach music, right?
Yes.
Vocals and instruments, and you work in schools.
The recorder.
The recorder. Don't play with the accordion. I love my little recorder. I should have kept it, actually.
Exactly.
Should have kept it and framed it. I'm not quite sure if my dad hid it, but
Probably.
But I also have a sense that you should do. This is going to sound very cliche, very Afro-romantic-y, but I do think that there's a place for you to deliver confidence in music sessions, confidence in being a singer.
Oh, that's so lovely.
Because do you know what it is?
That's really, a great suggestion, by the way. Yeah.
I'll be right there with you. I might need more of the singing lessons than I need the
confidence.
Or the confidence to do the singing.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because I know for sure there are so many people that do a number of different things, different industries. But what strikes me is your tenacity and the way how you forward think, and also that you believe, because sometimes we have this kind of what do you call it, thingy worship, where we just worship the people that we want to be.
Idol worship.
Idol worship, that's it. But I think there really is a place, and listen, we got to talk because I can see it. You can just do that and perform. Can you imagine?
That would be awesome.
But let's just say they heard it here first, because if anyone does it beforehand,
no,
right, you heard it here.
Right here.
Yeah, I think
Let's Talk.
That would just be, listen, I can manifest things, right? And that came to me.
We will be manifesting that now.
That came to me to tell you that.
Yeah.
We are going to be coming to a close soon, because, there's just...
We could talk for...
Yeah, we could talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. But I do want to really wish you well.
Thank you.
With your upcoming album. How fantastic. And although you talk about being slightly nervous, I mean, the Goddess Frequency?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because we had to keep elevating. And because it's reggae and dub, and the music is so spiritual and it's so uplifting, it had to be that. And there isn't a track called The Goddess Frequency on the album, but now I have to write it.
That's quite interesting, actually, because usually there's a
signature track from a title track.
Yeah. Did you come up with the tracks first, then the title? Did you
yes,
come up with the
that's exactly what
is
happened.
That what it is?
Yeah, I actually wrote the whole album, and then the producer Mick Eitel, shout out to Mick. He said to me, okay, what are you going to call the album? And I was like, what are we going to call the album? And he was like, no. He was like, you are going to name it. He was like, you did all the hard work. He was like, you are going to name it. Even though he produced every track. Yeah. He said, because as the songwriter as well, he was like, I want you to name it. And so that was one of my homeworks, going back to the drawing board and listening to all the tracks now that they're out of my head and I can hear them externally. What do I want to say? Exactly what we talked about.
You know that some people don't like the sound of their own voice.
Yes.
Do you sound how you expect to sound when you listen to your voice?
I'm used to hearing my voice outside of my head now.
Yeah.
So because I also have been performing since 14, 15, I'm used to hearing what my voice sounds like recorded.
Yeah.
Initially, it freaked me out, just like it freaks everybody out when they
Yeah,
hear
first
their
hear.
voices outside of their own heads, because it's just like, really? Do I sound like that for real? To you, that's what I sound like? But I'm used to hearing my speaking voice, and I'm now used to hearing my singing voice externally. What I wanted the most, like being my biggest critic, is I wanted it to sound as professional as possible. I wanted it to sound like every track I'd ever purchased on a CD. I didn't want it to sound tinny or low quality. I wanted to sound like everybody else I'd heard on vinyl or heard on a CD. So to me, that is, I guess, where my standards start from what I've already heard, and can I make my voice sound like that? Can I sound like that?
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily just my voice that needs that work. It is the mixing, the mastering, the balancing of the sound. Where's my voice being placed in the music? All of that. So it's a holistic thing, not just what does my voice sound like outside of my head, because I hear it every day now.
Thank you for that, because there are so many people that go, oh, I like that track, and you just dance to it, or you like the words, but you don't think about what's really gone into making that happen. But I do have to say, knowing you, knowing the family that you come from, big shouts out to your mum. I expected nothing less. I didn't think
the exacting standards.
I just don't know what anything else would have looked like coming from you. So I hope it feels like that for you. I hope you've got what you wanted to get out of it.
With this album, I definitely can hear the difference. So going from my first album, Melodrama, to this one, I can hear the stark difference between the quality from my voice, but also from the equipment and also from the things that we've used. And so I'm really proud, because I can hear the natural progression, and that, as an artist, is what you want. That's my personal achievement.
And what's wonderful is that I'm here to tell you that I can see your natural progression. I'm just blown away by your greatness, and love your singing voice. But I gotta tell you, I love your attitude. I love your gratitude. Now I'm a poet. That was not intentional. But you are grateful for the experiences,
Definitely.
whether good or bad at the time, because we all
Definitely.
learn from them. You are invested in the delivery to our children, the children that you work with. You are invested to yourself, and you're going to leave a legacy for all of those young people and your family members that you work with. And I thank you so much for starting the Let's Talk show live with us this morning.
It's been my pleasure.
Any final words from you? Can you please tell everybody how they can hear the album, where they're going to see you before you go?
Yes, of course. Please come and find me online anywhere. My name is Faye Simon, Faesimon. I am the only Faye Simon in the UK, spelt just like that. So put my name in.
How could there be two? How could there really be two?
There is one of one.
One of one. I love that. So they're going to find you.
So you're going to find me, Faesimon, and you can find me at fayesimon.com or on any social media platforms, just spelt just like that.
And just like that, guys, my special guest was the amazing Faye Simon. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to play this track because I feel like you had your calling from whenever it was that you discovered your voice.
Yes.
And you're continuing to do that. And sometimes, we get a calling and it takes us a long time to get there. I'm going to play So Long Rastafari Khalid, because it's just like the next track to play. Guys, coming up next is my second guest for today, Robert O.N. Toto. Hope I've got that right. He's going to let me know when he comes on. But he's in the studio looking fabulous. In fact, how many of you bring the transport that you've arrived on inside the building? Well, that's what he's done today, because his transport is also in here with him. So if you're watching live on YouTube, we might even give you a snippet of what that looks like. But in the meantime, thank you, Faye Simon. Don't go away. I hope you can join us for the rest of the show.
Of course.
And we're going to play So Long Rastafari.
So
first guest is Little Bot Talawa. And I absolutely agree with her. Our first guest today was, of course, the amazing soul singer and writer Faith Simon. It's really interesting because today show is called Let's Hit the Road, and we're going to be doing that in a different way in a moment. The quote is, do something that your future self will be thankful for. And we've already done that. We're going to be doing that again with my next guest. As I was saying for my first guest, actually, it's really nice when people return to the show. And Robert is somebody who is returning to the show today. But this time to talk about some different aspects. I don't think we spoke so much about some of the aspects we're going to speak about today. And we certainly didn't speak about his newfound skill, for sure. So, what can I say? A stylish civil engineer, 6'5". He actually looks like he's 7 foot tall to me, but he says 6'5". Penny farthing riding Rastafarian Robert O.N. Torto, also affectionately known as Rasta Roller. He's a sustainable travel expert and has spent the last 20 years working within road safety in London. But he now is an author. Can you imagine that? I'm super excited. History books for children, Black Heroes and Sheroes. Robert, welcome back to the Let's Talk Show Live.
Thank you for having me. You'd have to forgive my voice.
No, it's good.
It's a bit hoarse.
That's a good radio voice. I mean, for those of you viewing on YouTube, Dapper. He's just always so crisp. You want to see the West Coast? It's just amazing. So if you're listening live, you better just get onto YouTube and see what's happening in the studio today. Robert is very finely dressed, or stylish, as his description indicates. Thank you so much for joining us. So, Robert, it's interesting because I was having a bit of a moan about the roads and about the temporary traffic lights and all of that kind of thing. And I know that you and I are going to unpack why that specifically relates to you. But for those that didn't listen to your interview the first time, just give us a short synopsis about yourself, your cultural heritage, etc., where you grew up before we start today's journey of civil engineering.
So it's bizarre you should mention that because we're in Neasden. And whenever I write my books, I like to give the person's origin story.
Nice.
You know, where did their parents come from? You know, how did they meet? Funnily enough, my parents met right here in Neasden.
Wow. Yes, I remember you saying that now.
Yeah, so you know, I was born to a Ghanaian mother,
nice.
Jamaican father. We had a house right here in Dulles Hill, and I was born in St. Mary's Hospital, 1980. And yeah, we just lived around the corner from here, actually. Yeah, so funnily enough,
So you've really come home.
Exactly. I'm a Brent boy,
Yes,
born and bred,
nice.
you know. So yeah, so I guess.
But as I recall, you didn't spend your childhood here, did you?
No, unfortunately not, because as you well know, back then there were a lot of race riots going on, and close to where we lived in Dulles Hill, someone had a Molotov cocktail thrown through their window on Christmas Day. So my parents thought, yeah, this is not going to be a place to raise children. So myself, my sister, mom and dad, we up sticks moved to Jamaica, 1981. Yeah.
So you say, unfortunately, that must just be in reference to the unfortunate incident, but
Indeed,
yes.
not the
Yeah.
event, the unfortunate incident, but the experience was made me the person I am today.
Absolutely.
So the events that facilitated our move, and I mean, it's also like, you know, we lost in the move. We also lost what you'd call the term. It slips my mind. I think it's generational wealth is the word I'm looking for, because we had a house. And, you know, I bought cheaply back then in the 80s, fixed up to a good condition. My parents did that. And, you know, we had to sell the house when we left. And that's a loss of our generational wealth, you know, and that's what a lot of our generation and people of my age, I'm 46 now, people of my age and, you know, 10 years below me, that's what we struggle with, generational wealth, you know, and I'd say that was the bit I mourned. That was the unfortunate bit, the loss of that generational wealth. Because if we still had that home, or we retained that home, it would be something that I didn't have to worry about a mortgage at a later date. You know, then I could probably focus more on creativity as opposed to focus on making money to pay bills. That makes any sense.
Yeah, I hear that, and so many of us can tell that story. But thank you for sharing that, because that's quite personal. Can you take us though to Jamaica? Can we go to Jamaica with you for a little bit?
Let's go to Jamaica.
Let's go there. What's your fond memories of Jamaica?
It was just a pleasure living in Jamaica, because then, when I became, I guess, conscious of where I was, I'd always been Jamaican. I was very aware that my mom was an African woman, because she never lost her African accent. She always had a strong African accent. And, growing up in Jamaica, she drove around this yellow Beetle, bright yellow Beetle. And she just drove it everywhere, and everyone would call her the African, because she was because by about 1986, my parents had parted ways, and we were living in Portmore. If anyone knows Portmore well, they'll know Edgewater. You got to go over that bridge to get to Hellshaw, and we lived in Edgewater, across the other side from Garvey Mead. So, we lived in one of those prefabricated houses they built back then. And yeah, it was just a joy. So, my mom would drive us to school in her yellow Beetle. I remember one of the fun memories, it was during Hurricane Gilbert, and she's like, no, you going to school.
Well, even in a hurricane.
She was determined that we were going to school, I guess. So we set off, got over the bridge, and back then there was no toll road. You go over the causeway, so we left quite early to get to school, because we went to school in Halfway Tree. I went to Holy Childhood Prep, so we're driving and water's rushing down. We're coming up Halfway Tree, water's rushing down the road, and my mom's she's determined. She's taking in the yellow Beetle. She's determined. She's taking these kids to school. I didn't know it was a hurricane until later. I don't know if she knew it was a hurricane, but I remember distinctly. We're driving up towards Halfway Tree. Water is rushing down the road like a river, and this woman is determined. She's taking these children to school.
And were there other people trying to make that same journey, or just your mom?
No. The roads were surprisingly clear that day. I don't know.
Sorry, that's funny.
Yeah, I remember distinctly, because there were people under a hoarding, just standing around looking at this woman. Why is she driving this car? And the Beetle, like you said earlier, it little but it talawa. Yeah.
But do you know what's funny, right? Is that some of us parents, or our parents really, they never messed about. Don't be telling them you don't feel well. You're going to school, and if the teacher says you're not well, then they said you're going to school. Now your mum is saying, hurricane or not,
you're going to school.
I'm going to school.
Yeah.
But do you know what I think about though? Your mum had a vehicle that really stood out. Her mode of transport really stood out.
Very much so.
But you also have a mode of transport that stands out.
Indeed.
And you may not even have connected the two things, but that is your mother over there. That's your mother's vehicle.
Yeah, I know that much.
Form. Right?
My mom, she was a pioneer. My mother was an African in Jamaica at the time when being African in the Caribbean was not a popular thing. The level of resilience she had. She opened a Black African clothing store, down Halfway Tree. I think it's Victoria Plaza. She had her African store shop there where she was selling her African clothes. And this is in the 80s.
Wow.
This is in the 80s. This is not the 90s. This is in the 80s.
And were people buying?
People were buying. I mean, it was doing well. It was doing well. And I think she made all the clothes at home. So, like Muta Baruka would come to our house to have clothes made. Third World would come to our house. Rita Marley would come to our house in Portmore to have their clothes made, to get measured for size.
I love that.
On a regular basis. I mean, these are people who I would see in my childhood in the house, wouldn't know who they were. Fair to say, when I saw Muta Baruka, I think he had shoes on that day.
Did he? That must have been the last pair of shoes he had.
Vaguely. No, he doesn't. But vaguely remember that. Vaguely. Because this was, again, in the 80s. But yeah, it was, and I remember the store got broken into, and her goods were stolen. A lot of the clothes were stolen. And we were at an event in I think it's down Sabina Park. Vaguely remember, we were at an event, and she saw someone wearing her clothes, and my mom went up and she says, "Those are my clothes." She had them take it off, and she took her property. You know? Oh yeah, my mom was vicious in her heyday. You know, she used to walk around with an umbrella, and the point of the umbrella was sharpened. You know, just in case.
What a woman.
What a woman, you know. And the neighbors never messed with us where we lived, you know, because I think one time, you know, we were just being kids, jumping fences, and we jumped over into this person's yard. And, you know, he chased us down. So we jumped back out of the yard and we went up the road. And my mom found out, you know. I remember a good friend of mine, Steve Higgins, you know, we always used to play around as children. And my mom found out that this guy chased us down. She went down to his house with a cutlass.
Really?
Yeah. And she was literally sharpening her cutlass on his fence, saying, you know, you come on here. You know,
And
don't
did
talk.
Did he come out?
Oh, he didn't come out. You know, he didn't come out. And you know, bear in mind at the time, my mom was single mom. You know, 2 children. My sister is about 21 months older than me. She did not play around at all with anything.
How has that shaped you, do you think?
I mean, I'm very much so, you know, for my sins, I have 4 daughters, you know. I'm a girl dad, you know. I've got all the girls, and
For your blessings, you mean?
well, for my blessings, you know. I say for my sins. Who knew what I did in my childhood,
yeah.
like, you know, in my puberty years, you know. So I've got all daughters, and I raised my daughters the way my mom raised me. You know, very much like 80s children is how my daughters were raised.
But without the umbrella.
Without the umbrella, without the umbrella, you know. But they are fearsome, my daughters, you know. Even the ones who don't like me so much,
You're still fearsome.
they're still fearsome.
Do you know, that story, I loved it. And you're clearly a great storyteller because you're also an author. And we're going to talk about that. But I was right there with you on the way to school with the yellow Beetle. I was right there. I saw your mum. I saw the neighbour that didn't come out. I saw all of that. Guys, my special guest is Robert O.N. Torto, also affectionately known as Rustarola. If you want to get engaged in his conversation, that's 07956 548 I've just got so many jokes already, and we're only 5 minutes in. But I thank you. I loved that journey to Jamaica. You're a civil engineer. What is a civil engineer, or what is the role of? What do they do?
So a civil engineer, anything you see built around you, that's the job of a civil engineer. The architect might come up with a plan. The civil engineer makes it happen. The architect would say, "Oh, you know, we're going to build St. Paul's Cathedral." That would be his vision.
Yeah.
That would be the architect's vision. Doesn't know how to bring it to fruition. That's what a civil engineer does. So anything you see built anywhere around you, that's a civil engineer's job.
So so they'd give you an idea of what they want. You would then design it and take it back and say, "Is this what it looks? Is that how it works?"
Yeah, an architect would just have a vision and you know, come up with a plan of what he wants to look at or what he wants it to look like. You know, so one of the famous buildings, and you know, my eldest daughter, she studies architecture, and her idol is Zaha Hadid. And if anyone knows Zaha Hadid, the late Zaha Hadid, she designed the Olympic swimming pool building for the 2012 Olympics. And that was one of her visions. So she would have brought that to life on a piece of paper. It could even be sketched on the back of a napkin. A civil engineer has to make that vision come true and not take away from the architect's vision. Yeah. But my side of civil engineering has many aspects to it. My side is what you arguably the most important side is the traffic and transportation side. You know, because whenever I give a talk in the school on career day and I mention my career, I argue with the children that my career is the single most important career there is. And then they'll say, "Oh no, it's a doctor." Then I would say, "Well, how does the doctor get to work?" If not for a civil engineer, the doctor doesn't. When it's not for a traffic and transportation engineer, no one moves anywhere. The first thing you do when you're going to build any kind of construction is how are you getting materials to site, and that's what a traffic and transportation engineer does.
So I've got lots I want to ask you about that. But before that, how did you get to that position? What was it about that career that attracted you to it?
So I wanted to be an architect, funnily enough. So I got back to, I lived in Ghana for about, so when we left Jamaica in about 92, my mom wanted us to experience the Ghanaian life. So I went to Ghana and lived there for 6 years, didn't come back to the UK until 1998.
Okay.
And then I wanted to study architecture. I've always wanted to do architecture. I've always had an interest in that. But when I got to the university, I was told that's going to be a 7-year course. You know, by the time I got to university, I already had my first daughter. You know, Faith was already born, and I didn't have the luxury of doing 7 years in university. At the time when I was going to uni, I was doing my work placement, going to uni, working in a bar in Streatham. If anyone remembers Caesar's nightclub, I was working there. I was also working in Tesco part-time, you know. So I had 3 jobs and I was still going to uni, and I still had to, like, you know, provide for a family. I couldn't do that over a 7-year period, you know. So I had to go for the course that was the shortest possible course, but closest to civil engineering. And I opted for, I opted for civil engineering as opposed to architecture because, you know, that was 4 years as opposed to 7.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
But it's interesting though, because I guess in some ways you're doing some of what you wanted to do. Is that right? You're still kind of doing what you just got there in a different way? Would you say, or is it not?
I'd say I'm exactly where I should have been. You know, I'd say I got to where I needed to be at the time that I needed to be there, you know, because, you know, as a Rastafari, I do believe in the world takes you where you need to be. You know, sometimes
And
you might,
at the right time,
and you might resist, but it's going to take you there regardless. It needs you to do that. And my journey into civil engineering was, you know, actually when I started the course, when I embarked on the course at Kingston University, I didn't really know what field of civil engineering I wanted to go into. I had no clue. I just know I wanted to be a civil engineer because it was going to be working within architecture or some way, shape, or form. So I ended up going to do a work placement in the Royal Borough of Kingston. So when I got there, the field they put me into was traffic and transportation engineer, you know, and I thrived in that field, you know.
I think it had something to do with that yellow beetle, you know.
It must have done. It really must have done.
If that could take on the hurricane, right? You could get through the road there.
My gosh.
It must have been that. So thanks to your mum.
Yeah.
So you found yourself doing what you want to do anyway, but just in a different way. You couldn't do it because you were busy doing too many things. You were already a father. You had to provide for your family.
Yeah.
You were working in Tesco's. You were working in Caesar's. It was just too much for you to do all of that.
Yeah, and I still had my hobbies back then. You know, I was very much into. I'm very much into old Volkswagens. So I still find time on the weekends to go and indulge, like, you know, my hobby, which is, you know, going to car shows. You know, I had an old Mark I Golf that I used to drive around, and I still found time to indulge that hobby. How I fitted all in, and I still had to find time for fatherhood. You know, so by 2004, I'd had both my daughters were born. You know, Faith and Latonia were born by then. So it was a bit of a whirlwind, but I don't know how I got the energy to, but I remember that was some of the best times of my life.
Do you know, Robert, they do say, right, if you want something done, ask a busy person. Because if we were to really stop and think about how we do all the things we do, if we were to forward think, we probably wouldn't have done all of those things.
Very true.
But somehow you've managed to do that. And I just think a lot of that is to do with the lessons learnt from our childhood, the lessons learnt by observing, you know, our parents who are our role models, which we might not, because you were saying you didn't even know at the time that I can't get that vision out of my head. You were saying at the time you didn't even know it was a hurricane. You didn't even know what was going on.
We didn't know. I was Hurricane Gilbert. What year? Does anyone remember what year?
No, but I do remember it.
Someone would tell us the year at some point.
Yeah, if you're tuning in, you listen and you know what year Hurricane Gilbert was. Text in to 07956548781 so that I can continue interact with my special guest. So yeah, I think that some of that talks to who you are now, because I believe you still do a lot of things now.
I do a lot of things. So I still work full time as a civil engineer now. I work for Milton Keynes Council. I still write my children's books. I'm a full time father. I got 4 daughters now. So I've got 24, 22, 11 and 8. You know, so full time father, full time worker, and I create a lot of content just because I ride along. You know, nowadays I ride along. I've got my 360 camera mounted to my handlebars, and I create content. So I'm content creator, author, civil engineer, father. It's a lot of stuff. Yeah.
I think, you know, I don't know anyone else that rides a penny farthing, right? But I saw a clip of you riding into, I can't remember which borough it was, but you rode into a library.
Oh yes. Oh my gosh. I rode into the library.
You rode into the library. Oh, someone is saying 1988. Aren't we glad that Charlene's joined us?
There you go.
1988.
So I was 8 years old. So I was
Thank
8
you.
years
Yeah,
old. Thank you, Charlene. Very astute.
8th of September.
Wow,
Girls,
she nailed
good,
down
but
the date.
We're going to have to get her on the show.
We have to get her on
She's
the
got
show.
all the info.
Yeah.
Thank you. Can I just give a mention to Lloyd? He's saying greetings and blessings to Blaze and the guests. It was great meeting Robert on Tuesday. So Lloyd is our sponsor.
Yes.
I could see that he was a person of great distinction. Absolutely. Please ask him how he found the tooth gel.
I used it this morning.
Yes.
I've been using it.
Wait, I can't
I've been listen to the teeth. They're squeaking.
Do you know what, right? Lloyd, I said to all of the students, right, that if they use, we digress, but we don't really, if they use the tooth gel, you can actually hear your teeth. Did you try it, Robert?
I've been using it. I bought it on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And I've exclusively used it.
And did you try the sound thing?
Oh, I did the sound. As soon as I finished brushing my teeth, I went, choo, 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 choo. You know, I've had a bit of tea here, so it's like, you know, taking the sheen off. But yeah.
Listen, guys, you need to get the tooth gel. I don't know, Lord, we haven't done a competition in a while. We might do a competition for the tooth gel.
Yeah.
But you have got to try the tooth gel. I did the training and I said to all the students, listen, here's the lip gloss, right, which is super, super amazing. But try the tooth gel. You will not go back to whatever your original use of toothpaste was. This is tooth gel. We ain't talking toothpaste. We're talking tooth gel.
I'm waiting for. I'm gonna buy some more. You know, because
Nice.
I bought it. Got home, started using it, and I've been using it ever since. And I'm not gonna change.
You can't go back, can you?
Yeah, and I like to have another one in case it runs out. Because now my daughters are gonna be using that same toothpaste.
Yeah.
You know, the whole household. So I'm gonna need a few more tubes. So
I love
Lloyd,
that.
yeah, I'll be right onto the website.
We've got 20 minutes left of the show, Lloyd. I might set a competition. We haven't done a competition for a while. So I'm going to think of a competition. And the winner's going to get a free tooth gel. And the person that receives the tooth gel, after you've used it, can you please message back to the show and tell us how you found it? Because what you have to do is brush your teeth with it. And when you finish, take your finger and rub it across your teeth. And you will hear the cleanliness. Only Robert can testify to this, right? Because he's here. It is the truth. You will hear, you know, they say squeaky clean. You will hear squeaky clean. You can't go back to any toothpaste after that.
True.
So we on it. We on it. So thank you, Lloyd. Yes,
what did the kids say? Your toothpaste could never.
Yeah, could never, ever. Yeah, that's right. So we're gonna probably have to do an ad. You and I should probably do an ad.
We should.
But we can get that going. So listen, Robert, there's lots to you. You were doing lots of things as a young person. You found yourself in the right place. You become a civil engineer, and I saw you ride in to a library on your penny farthing.
So I think, if I remember correctly, it might have been Wellingborough Library.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
So that was the 28th of April, and that was in commemoration of Walter Tull's birthday.
Oh.
You know, so as you know, I wrote.
So let's go to Walter Tull.
Yes, so I wrote a book about Walter Tull, but Walter Tull was born 20th of April, 1888. So for his birthday, I was invited up to Wellingborough Library because Walter Tull played for Northampton Town Football Club. So there's an affinity there with Wellingborough, being in that part of the world. So I went up to the library. A couple of ladies. I went for a pancake flipping competition earlier in February in Wellingborough. So whilst I was there, a lady named Laura and another lady named Merle, they introduced me to the guys at the library, and they asked me to come back to do an event. So I said, I'll come back in April because it's Walter Tull's birthday, and I'd like to do some kind of commemoration around that. So I went along and I gave a demonstration of the penny farthing, how you get on and off for the children. There were about 35 children from local schools there. And I also did a live reading of Walter Tull Was Never Dull. And in addition to that, I had the children do a little class of drawing a crest because Walter was a footballer for Tottenham Hotspur, for Northampton Town, and for Clapton Town. And he was also the first person outside a white British person to be an officer in the British Army. You know, so they had an opportunity to come up with a crest to commemorate Walter and all the things that they learned from the book. You know, so it was a lovely event. You know, it was one of the first that I had done, and the librarian said, "Oh, you know, would you like to ride around our library?" And you know, you don't need to tell me twice.
Yeah, you're on it.
I'm on it.
You're on it. I have to say thank you because shouts out to my wonderful grandson Amari, who adores Robert and his Uncle Robert now and his bike. And on the way home on Tuesday, he's like, "Mum, Nana, can we talk about my bike?" And me and his dad was like, "What bike?" "Well, when will I be getting my bike?" And we're like, "What bike?" "The bike like Uncle Robert." I was like, "No, Amari, I don't think you're getting a bike. I think you're going to have an experience of riding one." But I guess the role modelling, again, of you riding your bike and also your story. Did you read an excerpt when you were here last time?
I think the last time I was here, it might not have. I read it. I hadn't published it yet because I was still looking for a publisher, and I didn't find a publisher in the end. So, you know, we're Africans. We're resilient.
So you self-published?
I set up my own publishing company, and then I published under my publishing company. So I'm not self-published. I'm actually a published author through a publisher. Yeah, so no one can call me self-published. No, I didn't self-publish. I set up a publishing company, Rasta Roller Books, and then I published myself underneath that company.
That is brilliant.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yes,
Could you
indeed.
find an excerpt that you could read from?
Of course,
book?
of course.
I'd love to hear
So
it.
let me see. I'm gonna read a short section here, and you know, and this is a very inspiring tale. So I'm gonna read just a short section. So this is the first few pages. So the book is called Walter Tull Was Never Dull. So this is the tale of how Walter Tull, a footballer and war hero of the story, went on to fight for his right to win his pride of place in British history. His birth date was 28th April 1888 in a seaside suburb of Kent. His mom Alice was from Folkestone and dad Daniel a Bayesian gent. Bayesians are natives of the island Barbados. In 1876, Daniel set sail from there. A ship to England could take up to 21 days. Back then, air travel was very rare. Walter was a cheerful mixed-race chap, a head of hair with heap of curls. When he was born back then in Britain, he didn't look like most boys and girls. Far from a tiny family, Walter was one of 6 kin. 51 Walton Road, Folkestone, the terrace house they all lived in. Bertha was the firstborn, William, Cecilia, then 2 brothers. Edward and Walter, then Alice, baby sister to the others. The Southwest, so there's a typo in this book that I need to correct.
Okay.
So it says Southwest, but it's supposed to be Southeast because that's where Folkestone is, but you live and you learn.
Okay.
So the southeast of England was home turf to the Tull clan. From this small seaside town, how wide would Walter's story span?
Oh my gosh, that's another run around the studio moment. I have to get rid of these wires because my guests are superb. I love that story. Is there more in the series or is there going to be more?
There are going to be 100 books in the series. The second book I'm releasing in conjunction with the Notting Hill Carnival Trust. And that book is about Claudia Jones. And that book is called The Many Milestones of Claudia Jones.
Nice.
And that would be the biography written in rhyming quatrains again of Claudia Jones's life. And for many who might not know who Claudia Jones was, she was the first person to put on a Caribbean carnival here in the UK.
Yeah.
And that was in 1959 in Camden Town Hall. And Claudia you would say was the inspiration for why there is a Notting Hill Carnival right now. She didn't. By the time Claudia had passed in 1964, the Notting Hill Carnival hadn't had its genesis yet. But in 1966, a lady named Ronnie Lasselet had a street fete just to bring the children of Notting Hill together, because there were different factions and different neighborhoods, and there wasn't a lot of togetherness. So Ronnie Lasselet, a social worker at the time, she hosted a street fete. So at that street fete, she invited a gentleman named Russell Henderson to come and play steel pan. And Russell Henderson was the person who played the steel pans at Claudia Jones's indoor carnival. So she had an indoor carnival in 1959 and another one in 1960. And I think the one in 1960 was televised on the BBC. But the reason for that was because Kelso Cochrane had been murdered. And this was in honor of the murder of Kelso Cochrane. So Claudia had raised some funds through her West Indian Gazette newspaper to put on this other carnival. And so Russell Henderson came to play at Ronnie Lasselet's street fete. And, he had the steel pan. There were three of them playing steel pans, and they had the steel pans around their necks, but it was weighing quite heavy. So there was also a clown who had a horse and cart at the street fete. So Russell Henderson employed this clown with this horse and cart, and he set up the steel pans on top of the cart. And then he was going up and down the street fete, and then at some point he said, "Oh, we're going to go for a walkabout." So they went around the streets of Notting Hill with this playing steel pan on this cart, and that in itself was the origins of the Notting Hill Carnival. So if it wasn't for Claudia Jones recruiting Russell Henderson to come and play steel pan, then I don't think maybe Ronnie Lasselet wouldn't have found him to come and play steel pan. He wouldn't have gone for a walkabout. There wouldn't have been a Notting Hill Carnival.
It's interesting because I work with Nubian Jack Trust. Shouts out to Jack Bueller and everyone on the team.
Indeed.
And we install blue plaques in memory of individuals. And I did one of those installations for Kelso Cochrane. And every time I hear his name mentioned, I just think about how on that day, members of his family, some who weren't even born yet, how they are still impacted by what happened to him. And so, yes, that's going to be a great story to tell. Robert, who inspires you to do any of the things you do? Because you do multiple load of things. Who inspires you, or who inspired?
So I think I draw a lot of the inspiration from my mother. My mother was a model. She was an NHS nurse. She was a fashion designer. She was a fashion icon. She just did whatever she was a teacher. She did whatever she wanted to do whenever she wanted to do it. Very bohemian, and she's coming up to 80 this year, and she now lives out in Ghana. And she's in, as you know, West African culture is very matriarchal. So the name Torto is actually from my mother's side of the family. So Robert Owen Torto is Robert Obodai Nicholas Torto.
I'm glad you've done your whole name, because the O and N, when I read the whole thing together, I was just like, wow. Yeah. So from my mother's side, you have your lineage. The family has two sets of names. So my mom is Toshi, and any Ghanaian knows the name Toshi. Any Ghanaian, in fact, knows the name Torto because my grandfather was instrumental in bringing the cocoa plant to Ghana. So he worked with Kwame Nkrumah to bring the cocoa plant to Ghana. My great-grandfather, he was one of the first Africans to receive an MBE as well as an OBE. He worked for the Empire, the British Empire, as an assistant treasurer. So my family is quite well known in Ghana. And my mother, Toshi, so in her lineage, she'll have Toshi, then she'll have her on her side. So there are two sets of names. So when Toshi has children, she'll use a second set of names, which is Oboshi, Obodai, and so on and so forth. And then when Oboshi and Obodai have children, like I have Obodai, then I name my daughters on the other set of names. So my eldest daughter, her name is Toshi,
you know, and then I have Ayakor, and I have, you know, the lineage, the names go down. So I've just taken the same set of names and named my daughters, and that's how we name. So
that's quite interesting, because in our family, I think there's probably 3 of us that all have the same name, either first or surname. Some of us both have the same surname. Some of us have the middle name of the other person that has the first name, and so it goes on. So I get that.
Yes.
Listen, Robert, I'd probably need about 2 hours to talk to you, to be honest, even though this is your second time back.
No worries.
I do want to talk a little bit about, go back to your civil engineering aspect. Before we get you to give a recap on how you found the radio training.
No worries.
Can you just mention a few places in this borough that you've been instrumental in?
So I redesigned the horizon gyratory system. You know, I was instrumental in that. Wilson Green Station front, I redesigned that. What else have I done? All of Wilson High Street, the section in front of the library, I redesigned that as well. Or should I say I designed that. Pond Lane, I did a lot of the zebra crossings there. On Bathurst Gardens, there's a cycle route that runs along there. I put that cycle route in back in, I think it was 2007, 2008. What else have I done?
So you must walk around the borough seeing all these things that you've been instrumental in creating, like knowing where the bike lanes are. Exactly. I did that.
Yes.
I've got to tell you, right, I've lived in Brent for a long time and lived in Harlesden before the new recreation of the gyratory. When I first got on there, I almost caused a crash. I was like, I don't know if am I going left, am I going right, am I going straight? And it has taken me some time now to get used to it. It's funny how we kind of get stuck in our ways. But when I first saw that gyratory, I was like, I don't know what's happening here.
It was a complicated design, and there were many iterations, and that's the one that the consultation landed on. Yeah. But there were several iterations. I was working with another guy named Jared. There were only 4 of us in the design department at the time. I worked for Brent Council between 2008 to 2012. Is when I worked for Brent Council, and we did the majority of the schemes. 4 engineers did the majority of the schemes. I was doing 30 schemes a year. You know, 30 like schemes. 30. You know, and that's design, consultation, build. You know, and a good friend of mine, Paulette. You know, she was working in the Paulette Weeks. She was working in the consultation department. You know, so she still does actually to this day. And she'll come back and say, "Oh yeah, your consultation's going through. Next scheme." She was overwhelmed because I was just churning them out.
Wow. You know, so Robert, this might have absolutely nothing to do with you, but I get calls all the time, right, about the state of the roads, about, you know, works happening and no one being there and red traffic lights, all that kind of thing. Is that something that you encounter in the work that you're doing?
It's part of London living or UK living. What you've got to realize is all our services in this country run underground. You don't see any telegraph poles running above ground. You go to Jamaica, you go to other parts of the world, you've got telegraph poles running all over the place, above ground. All our infrastructure is underground, and the majority of that is underneath the footway and underneath the road. So now, the time that all the roadworks happen, unless it's emergency works, when the roadworks happen, tends to be in school holidays. So that's why, particularly when there's a school holiday, there's so much traffic around, because that's the opportunity engineers take to put these schemes in, or when they're scheduled in, because there's no school traffic, and school traffic makes up the majority of the traffic that you get on London roads. You know, the rush hour is made up of school traffic, the majority of it. So outside school holidays, temporary traffic lights go up and works begin. You know, and
so you do know that it feels like every day in Brent. It feels like every day. Yeah. It feels like every other road. It sometimes feels like the same road. But I'm going to save those questions and that argument for the lead of the council.
Yes.
Because I'm going to be having an interview with him. But I just wanted to find out with you. I'm setting myself up for the interview, right? So I want to go fully loaded. You see, like how your mum knew that she needed the umbrella. I need to make sure I'm fully loaded before I put this argument that the community have pressed upon me to have with the council. So
quiz them strongly.
Yeah, I'm going to. So I'm going to take some tips from those that know. So listen, we are really coming to a close. we've just recently had a graduation party on Tuesday. You heard from Lloyd that he met Robert. Just quickly give us a sense of why you decided to do the radio presenters training program and how you found it.
So I came to interview with you, and I really liked the setup. And you mentioned that there might be an opportunity to get onto one of the programs.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And I said, yeah, it's something I'd like to do because when I used to go to a church in Southall, I used to be the sound technician for the church. So I'd make sure everything runs quite smoothly. So you're doing audio and you're doing visuals as well. So you're doing you're pushing all the buttons, making sure the mic's not muted, is muted at the right time. You don't want the priest having a hot mic. All of those things.
I think I've got a hot mic today, so sign language after the show, baby.
There's a lot to juggle, and I thought, and a good friend of mine, Phil Saunders, he says, you've got a good voice for radio. You should consider doing a radio show. And as soon as the opportunity came up, I jumped at it, and I missed the first chorus. Yeah. And then I messaged and asked, am I able to join? Because I think I was away when the first chorus took place. I think I might have been out of the country briefly. Yeah. So when I got back and there was an opportunity, I dove in head first. And
how did you find it?
Oh my gosh, it was like a little evening class community where it was. And you hosted every single class, yourself and Flex were there at every class, and different fractions of people from different walks of life. But once we got in that room, it was a school time, and we're just like attentive, paying attention, helping each other, loving, laughing. And I remember quite distinctly there was a card that you gave us, and everyone had their own card, and mine said, I think something along the lines of your possibilities are endless or something along those lines. Yeah. So I was taking a train, and going to Richmond. I was going to play penny farthing polo because we play
penny farthing polo. Robert, you got about 2 shows to do. Penny farthing polo.
Penny farthing polo. Yeah. So I played for Scotland. So on my father's side, we trace back to Scottish roots in Jamaica. So I was going to this penny farthing polo match, and I pulled something out of my pocket, and the card fell on the ground. And then a lady sat down at the seat on the overground. She said, this fell out of your pocket. So I picked it up, and I said, you know what? It was meant for you. You have it. And I read it to her, and I said, your possibilities will be endless. And I handed it to her. Yeah. And she said, you know what? You just made my day. And all of that really, the whole program just resonates. And even still, I'd go out I think I went to do a shoot with Burberry. And there was a big burly security guard making sure everyone's was behaving themselves. And his partner turned out to be someone from the... I can't remember. She had her hair done the last time she had redone her hair for the event. I can't remember what her name. She came with her son.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly who she is, but her name escapes me. Yeah, I know. But so it's become a little community, and we bump into each other, and we send each other messages, and do socials.
That's
it's
great.
Fun.
Because it felt very family oriented, and just so you guys know, listeners, they were saying when I said it's the last class, they were like, "No, but we're not leaving." They literally said they're not leaving. And the course is not ending. And of course, me being me and Flex being Flex, it is still, of course, going on. So look out for Robert. He's going to be having his own show. You're going to hear more of his story. And maybe some of the other presenters, because they're going to be having conversations with each other, might interview you on their shows. You're going to hear more from Robert. Robert's got lots to talk about. But he is the stylish civil engineer. He's 6'5", penny farthing riding. I always find that penny, that's like a mouthful. Often affectionately known as Rustarell, of course. He's the father of 4 beautiful princesses. His mum drove a yellow Beetle. So that made me laugh. Even through Hurricane Gilbert. I want to say thank you to all of my listeners, whether you participated or listened silently. We're going to play Robert's track. Let me just check that no one hasn't left a message that I haven't read out, because that would just be a bit tragic. But if you've joined the show, thank you so much. And I hope to see some of you tomorrow down at Bring Back Sundays. I had a moment for it. Bring Back Sundays. And so to Charlene, who's kept us up to date, January 30th, 1959, held in January to coincide with the traditional carnival season
Yes,
in
indeed.
Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes, indeed.
Charlene, we're going to find out what you do. You might have talked yourself into being a guest on the show. That's what happens. And Lloyd, thank you so much, as always. Oh, we didn't set a competition for the toothpaste. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll do that next week. Right, Robert, remind me. Let me go to your track now.
It's Jimmy Cliff.
Many Rivers. Yes. Yeah, this is a fabulous tune. We're going to play Many Rivers to Cross by Jimmy Cliff. Up next at 1:30, we've got Charles with the Health and Wellness Show. Stay tuned in to find out who his special health guest is. Any final words from you?
Well, for the song, you know, there's been a lot of
choose
death in my side of the family, on my wife's side of the family as well. So,
condolences.
you know, this song is just for everyone to kind of stay strong and, you know, just keep pushing through. You know.
Yeah. So, guys, Robert says keep pushing through. Our first guest faces that she is her own cheerleader and she just manifests everything she wants to happen. And it looks like Robert can do the same. But in the meantime, between time, it's your girl Blaze, and I'm out.